Can you
Hello,
see?
Klaus.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Klaus?
I hear you perfectly fine. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Klaus?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, very good morning.
Good morning to you as well.
How to say? Yes, we can starting. Okay. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well.
All
It's
right.
of course a little bit cloudy here in Denmark, the weather, but yeah, apart from that, it's quite nice. We're moving towards summer here.
Okay, I see. Could you please try if you could share your screen, maybe?
Definitely.
Then we can see.
Host disabled participant screen sharing, it says.
Yeah, let's see. Otherwise, I can share, hopefully.
Of course, I had a small challenge. My coffee machine broke this morning, so
Yes, I know the Danes love coffee so much. I love
oh,
too.
oh yeah. There is. I think there's only one group of people in the world who loves coffee more, and that's Ethiopians in Africa.
Okay.
Should I try to share screen again?
Yeah, please try.
It still says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay. Let's try. Maybe I can share the screen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Does it work?
It does work. Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay, great.
You can delete half of the subtitle I can see in the first presentation, the slide here.
Yes, you can open the how to say the presentation, and then I can just go through.
Yeah, or you can just enlarge this presentation here, and then we can go through it. And it's a general presentation that we have about this hybrid degrees and a little bit about Dania, covering some of the common questions that we do see in these things. But if you go to the next slide, it's about a little bit about Dania, the academy, about the hybrid degrees, the marketing management program, and some common questions that we often see in our discussions with students. Yeah, the ones who's behind Dania Academy, just go ahead. It's this Danish University of Applied Science called Dania Academy. If you skip to the next slide. I think a lot of people do know where Denmark is located, but there's also people who does not know it. It's in the northern parts of Europe. We have, in our terminology, warm winters and cold summers, lots of rain most of the year. But I would say, especially the summers up here are quite nice. Dania has 8 campuses. 2 of them are having international students. If you're looking on the right side, you could actually see which is from those 2 campuses. And then we have one online campus. That's our hybrid degrees, which we will get back to. 23 programs, 5 international ones, so 5 entirely taught in English, 2,500 full degree students, a little bit more than 3,000 part-time students. I think the 5-star national accreditation that we have below is actually one of the things that we are proud of, but also one of the questions that we hear quite often. So is this a reputed organization? Is this a place where you can actually get a quality education? And that national accreditation is actually something that we're rather proud of. It's only less than a handful of Danish universities who has 5-star accreditation, like top marks in all the categories in terms of quality. We also have 43 international partners, 20 agents. One of them, fantastic guy, you, Bikash.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But
We are honored to have.
spreading all over the world because we have an international mindset. Up in the corner behind the small images of us, there's this Erasmus Charter, which also means that we are an accredited European university. So if you're getting a degree from us, it's automatically recognized all over Europe and most of the rest of the world without big discussions on things. Move on.
Yeah, sure.
A few images from inside. I think it's, I'll take this very quickly because we'll get back into more about what it is, but casework, applied theories, classwork, group work, interdisciplinary. So we're covering more subjects. You're not just having global economics and understanding about that and not linking it to other parts of running a business or working afterwards. Independence and this informal atmosphere. I think you can see it a little bit how we actually act and how we act, me and Bikash here. We are very even. We think that's the best way of learning when you can ask questions. Next slide. This is also a little bit of where we do have university partners. The reason why I brought this in is also because, so having an international education, especially when we're talking about hybrid degrees, but I'm sitting at home, so what's the international about this? And I think this was tried to showcase a little bit what your options are. These are universities in different countries around the world where you can go and take a semester. So you'd start out with the hybrid degrees and then you say, it's a little bit boring to be sitting in Chittagong. I want to go out. And then you say, okay, well, Canada is actually quite cool. All right, I'll go to Canada, take a semester there. And that could be your third semester. You can go on, take your internship in another location, and then move on to a top up in, say, the UK. So just because you're starting on an online education from home, but these days, the safety of your home, it actually does give you the option of moving further and getting this truly international experience. Next slide. If you can move, it's the next slide,
Yeah.
Bikash.
Yes, I can.
They're starting to dance the pandas. This is a little bit of a special day for date for us, September 12th last year. And the reason why it's highlighted is because we were the first at that point, and still are, to be granted license to offer a degree outside Denmark. So for the hybrid degrees, it's actually your only accredited option for getting a Scandinavian degree outside Scandinavia. So it was a very special, and it took me more than a year of lobby with the ministries to allow it. Scandinavia is not like, you know, the US, UK or Australia, where you see thousands of universities all over the place in different strange variations. And what you could also often see is that you'll find a university in, say, Nepal, UK branded, then you go to their top website in the UK and you cannot see anything about it. It seems kind of like they're not really taking ownership of it. And that's because it's pure business for them. And well, that's fair, but we want to do more. So let's take the hybrid degree. That's what we're doing with this hybrid degree. Take the next slide. Because what is a hybrid degree actually? And it's, I'd love to say that I invented or we invented the term, but it is a general classic term within education. It's this combination of online and campus degrees. In our case here, it's online teaching and it's international workshops, actually, 4 international workshops. It's for students outside EU because we want to create a proper international degree. Within our setup, it's a separate organization. So we have the full support dedicated for the students joining here. We're starting with one program, a couple of classes in this program called AP, Marketing Management. I'll get a little bit back to what that actually is. I'll also get back to this unique learning concept because you'll see a lot of programs out there who will say, hey, we are now online, so don't worry about that. But for 80–90% at least, it is a way of just saying, okay, we will be taking our lectures and they will say hello on Zoom, and then they will run their PowerPoint show as they're doing in the auditorium. And if any of you have been watching a YouTube video, 45 minutes of YouTube video, a guy just speaking that, well, I become bored. So we're doing this differently. We're setting up, but again, I'll get back to that. Also, this study life balance, Scandinavian didactics. Scandinavian didactics is a fancy word for we believe in working together to learn things and doing things to learn. And then applied degree, because our focus is on, we want the students to get a degree where they can go out and actually do things afterwards. That's our prime goal. We want to make sure that whatever you learn, it's something that you can use right away. We'll go to the next slide. Why are we doing that? It's the fluffy words of it, but it actually means something for us. It is what we do. We don't see education as a course. You can go out and find thousands of courses, and especially online, you can find all over the place, and many of them for free, and many of them are actually quite good. So we're not competing with that. But the thing is, you need something in order to be successful in these courses. Say you're taking a Google Analytics course with Google. I cannot teach you, or any of my colleagues cannot teach you Google Analytics better than Google themselves. But what we are doing is that we're giving you the basics, the understanding behind the analytics. Why is it that it is like it is? So that's our focus in these programs, and it's also it's not about the certificate. It's about what you can do afterwards. And I think the last one is maybe a little bit controversial, especially when we're talking to students. It's not for you. Education is not for you, but it's in order for you to create value afterwards, because we want to make sure that you can go out and do great things. So we will not be pampering the students and say, oh, it's so sorry for you. We want to make sure that you reach your full potential. And that's what we are trying to be this disruption of higher education and blah, 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 new methods across it. We want to go out and have you make a difference. If we go to the next slide, we'll get a little bit more into why we do it. We have the platform, blah, 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 top accreditation. Next slide. This one I actually find is a little bit funny, and the reason why I brought it in is it's a testament to how we do things. this small group of people, and I think if I looking tightly here, the guy in the middle is a Bangladeshi, and because we now lost the slides on your screen sharing.
Yep.
And then we also have Nepalese, we have Pakistani, and we have Indian guys here. And it was actually a focus group I did at a university in Malaysia. And we were calling it the ADX. They said, yeah, Claus, it's great what you're talking about, but it doesn't make any sense for us. What are you talking about? Is that edX? Is it TEDx talks or whatever? And then I explained it to them. Well, this is online, as I've just been explaining. And I said, but that's a hybrid degree, Claus. And I was just like, oh, crap. That's true. That is what it is. We are a university. We are combining different things. So we are a hybrid of it, and we are doing things in a new way. And we do listen both to the students and the corporates. So that's how we are shaping the education as we go along. We are continuously optimizing it. And well, for us, these last days with the coronavirus has been frustrating in many ways, but also fantastic, because it talks into what it is that we do. We are adapting the situation. We have actually changed almost half of the curriculum based on this new world order that we're seeing right now. How it works in practical terms, we could do is this design-based teaching, developing a prototype, domain knowledge, testing things out, discussion, and actually getting feedback from the companies that we're working with on a daily basis. So it's a different way of structuring. We don't do lectures. We do discussions, because that's how you go to work in the future. Because if you could just blow it up in a big version here, because then there is a small animation on that next slide. So we skip to the next slide. Yes, and one click, because our basics, that's the scientific articles, trade articles, book chapters. Content which are not in your regular lecture books yet, because most of the time it takes 15 to 20 years from research to go into a lecture book. And when they do the research, it's actually based on what's happening right now. So if I were to give you a lecture book right now, it was based on things done 20 years ago, around the turn of the century. And well, even before many of the students are born. So it doesn't make sense. So if you click one more, Bikash, then they should start popping in. This content is actually really, really difficult to read. Even a master's student or PhD often have challenges reading it. So what we're doing is that all these things, all these articles in different versions, we're making small learning bits. So all these small bits, we're creating videos for explaining how it is in a common world. But that would just give you the pillars by themselves, which wouldn't make you be able to use it. So if you take the next slide or next click, we do these content module where we actually tie the learning bits together. So when we have a theory, a model here, it can actually work together with that one and that one and that. If you like, all those content modules links the different elements together, which will get you to understand how things work together. And then we use it in our cases, and we do two types of cases. We have a large case, which goes all across the year, so you can get the connection from one module to another. And then we have smaller cases, which digs down into a certain topic, and all of them are created with companies right now as we speak. we had a Echo Shoemaker, we had a Four Seasons Hotel in Singapore, Liber Beverage in Shanghai, and so forth. So these are up to date. And yeah, here you have a few of the examples of the companies that we are working with. You might notice some of them. Yeah, I can see there is one logo missing, of course, and if for the Bangladeshis participating here, they would probably recognize the gramophone logo that we need to have added in here as well for you guys. But these are some of the companies that we work with. It gives us the challenges, the problems that they're facing right now, and also the companies who are interested in hiring the graduates from this program here. That's also, yeah. But as I also mentioned, it's more than just a study. It's actually what we call a lifestyle, if you take the lifestyle. Because we actually believe in this thing about happy students get good grades, but Hygge students get the bigger picture. I don't know how many of you who actually knows the term Hygge, but it's a very Scandinavian Danish term, and it's something about coziness, equality, being able to talk and work or study life balance. And that's actually something that we build into this program, and it's something what we're very, very keen on, because we want to make sure that this program fits your life. Want to make sure that whenever the student participates in this program, it doesn't mean that you need to spend 20 hours a day just reading books, because real life world is actually important as well. We also have a coach associated with this, Emma Jane, who will actually be talking. Often she is coaching executives for a lot of money, but we actually use her for the students as well, because it's a skill as well, how to balance your life afterwards, not just during the program. And but let's get into the program. This is official where our AP Marketing Management fits in. It's the first part of your bachelor's degree, and then you can take a top up. But if you click on to the next slide, it's a little bit more complicated than that. We do see a lot of people going out and getting jobs right after this degree. So you can use it as your final degree, and it is, we have 96% something which actually either continue study or get jobs right afterwards. And we do have many of the students who at least get a job offer from the company that they have an internship with. Many also have a bachelor's degree beforehand and see this as an alternative to an MBA. This is the hybrid degree structure. We start with a seminar. This is a little bit tricky these days. Of course, we have a plan for the seminar to start up with in Singapore, but we also have a plan for not starting up online. And then we would actually be pushing that first seminar into the middle of the semester. So, and making it a little bit shorter. But the first semester, internal and external analysis from business. Second semester, marketing and business plan. Third semester, internationalization and specialization. Specialization, that could be either business analytics or international business development, or going abroad at one of the partner universities that I mentioned before. Fourth semester, internship. We actually have 100% success rate in finding internships with our students. So that's not something I'd worry too much about, and ending up with a final project and an exam. And of course, if someone who wants to join us in Denmark for the last part, we'll love to have you here. And we already planned for the graduation seminar. The daily structure of things is also building in this flexibility. We have 1.5 to 2 hours live casework every day. So you are actually going to be participating in a school thing every day. It's not just spending 2 years watching YouTube videos. We do have the videos, case preparation, literature, group assignments, etc. but it's up to you to structure it during the morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on spare time jobs, or whether you want to sleep late or you want to go to bed early. It's up to you. We do have our coach to help structure these things, because we know it sounds nice from and it seems like, hey, I can do that easily, but then things start slipping. So that's why we have our coach associated with the program from day one, to make sure that it doesn't slip away from you. Financial is also one of the questions that we of course get. So, Claus, this sounds great. What does it cost? How do I pay it? For fund admission, 3,000. At the end of the first semester, 4,000 for each of the semesters. Final semester, 2.5. Total 17,500. Of course, there is some additional costs. We don't charge any more than that. There is books that will need to. We're looking into some deals with some digital books for you, so it'll be quite reasonable and significantly less than a regular costs. Last questions. Where are you? Common questions. Where are you looking? In cyberspace and in Denmark. How does it work? I think I've covered that. Or do you have any other questions, Vikash? Or
Well, I guess thank you for the nice presentation, Klaus. But I think you should cover most of the questions. But could you please elaborate about, do you offer any scholarships?
Yes, we do offer scholarships. You have to pay the first amount, the startup, so that we can see, okay, we're safe. But after that, we're actually automatically for top 10%. So that, say we had 30 students, the 3 best will get automatic scholarship offer it. If they for some reason decline, then they'll go down the line. So that's how we offer scholarship on a merit base.
So will it be from the first semester when they will start, or?
Yes. So,
okay.
so they start by paying it, and then we will give the scholarships based on our gatherings, because that's where we have our exams and evaluations.
All right, that's a very good thing. So I think many students need a scholarship in this COVID-19 situation. That's really great.
Exactly. And I think one of the things which is also important for me to say is that, and I mentioned it before, this thing about being a for-profit. We're a government-owned university. We're actually not allowed to make a profit. So if we make a profit, we're actually required by law to give the money back to the students or improve it. So
yes, just to add you something, in Denmark actually there is no private institution, especially if all of them are public institutions, because many of our students have been asking like, okay, am I going to study a private institution or public institution? So just to be clear that Denmark doesn't have any private institution, especially in education area. So it's all of them are government, how to say, controlled by the government and controlled by the Ministry of Education in Denmark.
Exactly. And I think that's
please,
also...
sorry, Klaus, could you please more elaborate about the, the admission criteria? The students are from Bangladesh or from any of the country that you are looking for?
Well, the reason why I've not put the admission criteria up in the general section is that it differs from country to country. So that's actually where guys like you, because is helping us out, because having that. But in general, we say these 13 years of education. So you have some academic background for it. We also have some English language requirements, because when we have to talk together, we have to discuss. It will be quite challenging if you don't have a reasonable okay command of the language. We do say that if you have a 5.5 IELTS or above, we will have a conversation with you and assess your conversation skills, and then move on with an online test. If you have IELTS 6.5 or above, you're clear to go, or if you have a previous education in English.
All right. So, so you say they if they don't have any IELTS test from Bangladesh,
Yeah.
then
Not a problem.
Yep.
They go to you, Bikash, and then they say, hey, yes, I have this educational background. I think I'm quite good at speaking English, so I think I'll go for it. And then we call them for an interview, and we say, hey, okay, good, and we have a talk so that we can assess whether they can actually follow the discussion and conversation that we have. And then we give them a small written test as well. And a combination of that, we will do the assessment. Can they actually follow this program? And because we're not requiring this English test to exclude people. Mm-hmm. We're actually doing it because we're so keen that they have success. I would feel so bad for admitting someone who is sitting there and really is struggling, not because they are not smart, but because they've not gotten the language skills well enough so far. So.
Yes, Klaus, could you please also elaborate like how the education will go? Like first semester, they should study in online in Bangladesh, right?
Yeah, we of course, depending on how the coronavirus evolves, and right now we are looking at starting up online, and then probably in November do a gathering in Singapore for a few days. Some of the innovation skills is very difficult to teach online, so we would start online end of August, beginning of September there, and move through the semester. Gather up in Singapore in November for a few days, and then continue through the semester.
All right.
But it'll go on online, as you say, yes. So there's no need for traveling abroad or the
but
issues.
If they want to, how to say, join in second semester in Denmark, would they able to come to Denmark?
Yes, they will, because that's actually one of the things you mentioned yourself. There's no private universities, it's government universities, all of us here, and they're controlled by the government. So the curriculum that we're using is actually a national curriculum. So that also means that they can come join us in Denmark in either Viborg or Randers campus, but they can actually also transfer to, say, Copenhagen or Odense or any of the other universities in Denmark offering the same program. And they can do that after each of the semesters. So they could do it after first semester, they could do it after second semester.
Or do they, I think, also to transfer their credits to other partner universities, let's say in the third semester. Let's say you have a partner universities in Canada, for instance.
Yeah. Then they would be able to go to Canada. It's a little... usually, if they go to a partner university on third semester, they go there for one semester, and then they go back to the internship somewhere. It could be in Singapore, let's say that, for 3 months, then write the final project. They could come to Denmark for the final project and write it here. And then they have our AP degree. Then they can go on and say, that Canadian Georgian University, for example, which is that was a really cool place. I actually want to continue my studies there. Then they go out over there and they recognize it automatically.
Oh, wow. Could you please also a bit explain like what is it? There is any difference between the normal AP degree program in Denmark if there's someone studying physically, or is there any difference if they study the hybrid degree program in online?
Well, in terms of the certificate, there's no difference at all. When they're having the certificate in the hand, you cannot tell
All right.
because there's
So it is the same certificate. So
exactly
yeah,
the
so they
same.
can go for after further studies, let's say in professional bachelor international sales and marketing, or might be professions bachelor in international hospitality and tourism management, right?
Exactly. And I think if anything, the hybrid degree level is maybe even higher
Yeah.
that you would see in the regular campus-based degrees. But it is exactly the same certificate, the same paper. There's no
So it will
discounted version.
be so it will be accepted by all over the world and also to the European Union, any countries, if they would like to
Exactly.
study further. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that that's actually one of the things which we are very focused on, that we make sure that they have the option of doing when they move out in the other end. It's we're trying to give them as many options as we possibly can so that they can tailor and fit it to their needs. That's
Well, I think I covered up most of the questions, but I think there is some more opportunities from a student from Bangladesh, for instance, who is, let's say, studying a master's degree. But yeah, could you please explain a little bit about the opportunities?
well, who is looking for a master's degree, or
The student who has completed a master's degree, but maybe they need a business degree again, for instance.
yeah. Well, I think I mentioned it very briefly in the presentation. We do see a lot of people who are using this as an MBA alternative. We all know that MBA has gotten a quite bad reputation over the years because it has been a money machine. To be honest, I'm not proud for my sector to say it, but there's been a lot of people out there offering MBA degrees, and that's why we actually see. Well, I think we have about half of our students who have a degree before actually joining this program here so far, and see this as a way at getting into the business side of things, especially coming from engineering or the more technical side of things, moving into the business side.
So I think this is one of the opportunities the working professionals in Bangladesh that who really would like to get an MBA degree or a professional degree. So it could be a best option.
Exactly, and I think what we find is that those students who come with something else, they are also the ones who really shine, because the way we teach challenges them, and we actually include what it is that they have from beforehand, or if they are working a part-time job on the side of things, we include that in the discussions. So they find it really fun to be part.
Yeah, that's right. But I think we have almost covered most of the aspects of the hybrid degree in Denmark. But of course, hopefully, you should be able to come to Bangladesh. Maybe, yeah.
Well,
you have a plan to come to Bangladesh to meet our
I have a special love for Bangladesh and the region. I used to live there. I used to work for Grameenphone in the past, so I am missing it. I have a couple of kids who, on a weekly basis, talk about going there, the trips to Cox's Bazar and Sri Mangal and so forth. So it's fantastic.
All right, great, Klaus. I think probably you have to give a little bit schedule one of the meeting with the Daffodil University in Bangladesh. They have been asking to, they're interested about this study program, basically. So I hope that you should be able to manage your time, but we can talk about it later on.
Definitely.
We'll schedule another meeting. we are very sorry about today that maybe the slides are not sharing to our Facebook pages, but we have recorded the meeting, so we will share it to afterwards in later. So you should be able to see our slides and everything later on.
Perfect.
Tanvir Bhai, this is Tanvir, Mr. Klaus. This is also one of our business partner.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions so far?
I think no, most of the question is covered. And one question is this is online classes, right? So one classes is how many students in one classes? It is a one-to-one session or many students in one classes?
We have a limit of 50 students admitting. I don't. I have a hope that we will be able to admit no more than 25 for this program in a classroom. And the way that it works is that there's a small discussion together all in the classroom first, then breaking out in smaller groups, small discussions, getting back together, discussion. Okay, what did you find out about in that group? So in that sense, we are getting things to work in that way. So it's not the lecture discussions that we are having in the live sessions.
I have an inquiry, Klaus. Just now, yeah. One of the students writing. He's living in Denmark.
Yeah.
He's living in Denmark, and he has a good IELTS, and also. But he has a study break about 7 to 8 years because he's independent.
Yeah.
Do you think we should how to say, admit into this program, or how it should be working out?
If he is Bangladeshi and living in Denmark, no problem. And I think also I'm not that worried about having a study break, as I mentioned, just as with ones who have another degree beforehand, coming with a different background. That's actually often the ones who get some fun out of it.
But the main question should be if he got the residence permit based on this program, because he's in Denmark already.
I'll have to get back to you on that one there. I'm not entirely sure about it. He might. There are some technicalities about the license that we have for international and staying abroad. My initial response would be yes, he would be able to get a residence permit on it, but there are some technicalities in it that we'd have to check out.
Please let me know. Yeah. And then probably yes, maybe some another questions regarding to study this program. Yeah. That's basically someone how to say if coming from another degree program, but of course also have the study, you could say the study break. Of course, they should be able to join. But the students from from other countries who are living in Denmark, should we be able to admit them directly, or they have to go through for example, like Nepal or India, they have to go to the Nepalese ends?
If they come to you and they're living in Denmark, you take them.
All right. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunities. But I think Tanvir Bhai, do you have any questions so far?
No, thank you.
All right. So hopefully you should be able to meet Klaus after the coronavirus situation is over. So he will be in Bangladesh, hopefully, so that we can have some seminars out there. Yeah. Hopefully, many students will be turned out. and we'll talk another day. And thank you for a nice presentation and being here.
I'll say one thing I can mention as well is that on the Facebook page we've actually opened up so that the students can request a 15-minute advice session as well. So if anyone wants there, it's either me or one of my colleagues who will be taking questions and explaining things, and if we cannot, and if it's something local, we'll send it on to you guys.
Yeah, well, I will probably get back to you if someone asking to Facebook, because we had some technical difficulties with Facebook today.
Well, it's these things. Our other systems are 100% clear about and how to work and all the quirks and things like that. Facebook Live here, we were still working on it. But
yes,
as long as we are all learning, things are great, right?
Yeah, exactly. The bad things that we cannot meet each other. Otherwise, I could be there in remote and just we can having it together on live sessions.
Exactly.
All right. But thank you for today to everyone, and hopefully we'll get back to you with some good news. Okay. Perfect. Have a nice day.
You too.
Have a nice day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.